Alright, looks like Dragon Ball is back. However, this time, instead of continuing the current story, we're going back to the end of Dragon Ball Z and starting a new story, but this time with much more Akira Toriyama involvement. Why does this sound familiar? Anyways, before Toriyama departed, he gave us one last hurrah, that being Dragon Ball Daima. Daima really does seem to represent Akira Toriyama's life as a mangaka. It dabbles with the more serious storytelling from Dragon Ball Z, while leaning a lot more into the comedy, which Toriyama clearly preferred. We can't know for sure, but I think Toriyama was happy knowing Daima would be his last project. My last video had me going through Super Dragon Ball Heroes, so I feel like I'm watching the greatest cinematic masterpiece of all time in comparison. So yes, if you were wondering, I like Dragon Ball Daima a lot. This isn't to say it has zero issues, as we'll address them as we go, but overall, I'm pretty happy with where this story takes us. But enough rambling, let's dive into the Demon Realm. What's that? You can buy a third evil eye for the low cost of subscribing to my channel? That's crazy. After you sub, I'll order it in the mail. I think they deliver to Earth in around 2 to 10 million business days. Okay, time to power scale Daima. It's been a bit tricky to figure out due to the events of the last two episodes, as they drastically changed things. Starting out, we learn it's vaguely been around a year since the end of the Buu saga. Goku says he trained a lot after Buu, so let's give him a 50% boost, putting adult Goku at 750 million. And I doubt Vegeta would let himself fall behind over the last year, so he's likely at 750 million as well. Around the same time, after the death of Dabura at the hands of Majin Buu, the new King Goma fears the power our heroes possess, so he ventures to Earth in order to use the Dragon Balls. With him is his attendant Degesu, and the elder Namekian Neva. Neva is a very powerful magic user, who we will likely have a lot to talk about later. But for now, he uses magic to reawaken and collect the Dragon Balls. This isn't actually the first time we're seeing something like this though, as Kami did something similar during Dragon Ball. Goma wishes to turn everyone who helped defeat Majin Buu into kids. And I'd just like to say here, this wish is stupid. Not only cause this wish shouldn't even work in the first place, based on previously stated lore, or how becoming kids wasn't a big enough nerf for Goma to surpass them in the first place, but also because demons live for millions of years. For someone like Goma, 10 years is nothing, but in that same amount of time, Goku would already have regained his adult form. I kinda like the idea that Goma just didn't really think his wish through, as people from the Demon Realm take several hundreds of years to reach adulthood, so it's possible Goma just didn't realize how quickly they would grow up again. Shenron tells Goma he didn't pass the vibe check, so he only gets one wish, and that takes us into the story proper. So, near the end of the series, we see our characters restored to their adult forms. Kid Goku becomes a Super Saiyan 4, but despite that, it seems like adult Vegeta and regular Super Saiyan is stronger than Kid Goku at Super Saiyan 4. That would imply they got massively nerfed in their kid forms. That amount entirely depends on how strong Super Saiyan 4 is, and we will get to that, but for now, I put them around 100 times weaker. That puts Kid Goku and Vegeta at 7.5 million, which is only slightly higher than the level Goku had when he returned to Earth from Yardrat, and would mean Goku needs to go Super Saiyan 2 just to regain his base adult level. Now, you're probably thinking, what about the Dabura statement? Trust me, we'll get to that. Next person we should probably talk about is Supreme Kai. So back during the Buu saga, Kaioshin was impressed by base Vegeta's power, but he also said he could easily defeat Frieza, so I previously gave him a power of 250 million. As that falls between the two. Post-child nerfs, that puts Supreme Kai at 2.5 million, which is still strong, but a bit below end of Namek base Goku, but he definitely wouldn't beat Frieza anymore. After him, Piccolo also joins the party, and he essentially does nothing this entire story, and probably could have just not come. But I guess being Toriyama's favorite character has its perks. I had Piccolo at 6 billion during the Buu saga, so he gets weakened down to 60 million here. So back to the actual plot. Our characters figure out what's going on, but they can't figure out how to get to the Demon Realm. Luckily, we get the first appearance of Glorio, as he's here to take Goku to the Demon Realm to defeat Goma. We get into some filler hijinks, like a bar fight, and they get their ship stolen, which they need, since the thick air in the third demon world makes it hard to fly around. During their travels, it's revealed that Glorio doesn't know what ki is. Apparently, in the Demon Realm, no one knows what ki is. Even Goma was surprised to see our guys were able to shoot beams of light. So this is where I need to go over a major talking point in Daima. Not everyone is going to like what I have to say here, but I pretty strongly believe magic and ki are the same thing. Or, more specifically, magic is a more complex application of ki. You might say magic has always been part of Dragon Ball, and you would be right. However, that entire time, magic has always been intertwined with ki. During the Dragon Ball manga, there were always ki restrictions on magic, like how the Dragon Balls couldn't affect people with stronger ki than their creator, or how Vegeta was able to retain his consciousness after being turned into candy. Magic was always used for convenience, like fortune telling or healing, and was almost never really a legitimate threat. The only strong magic users we ever saw were also strong ki users, like Deborah and Majin Buu. We also saw many ki techniques you would equate to seeming more magical, like how Roshi and Goku can read minds, Frieza could use telekinesis, Gotenks gave his kamikaze ghost's life, and our characters can fuse bodies together by dancing. I mean guys, Kibito can teleport with magic, right? Well, Goku can teleport too. I even think Daima subtly acknowledges my theory. Several times during Daima, characters equate Goku's power to being like magic, and it's the only power system they know about. These demons live for thousands of years, and you want me to believe their culture has just never tapped into this power that's commonplace in the universe outside of the demon realm? Now, Supreme Kai says Super Saiyan isn't magic, but like, obviously, it's a genetic transformation, not a technique. Even if magic is different from ki, and some magic is hereditary and can't be learned, it still seems pretty clear to me that magic is fueled by ki. The major exception to this concept would of course be Babidi. Babidi is actually similar to another character, that being Devilman from Dragon Ball. Devilman had a technique that let him exploit the evil within someone, causing them to explode. I think Babidi operates on the same logic. That's why he could control the evil Deborah, but he couldn't control good characters like Goku. And generally, just because you have lower power doesn't mean you can't have broken techniques. Now that I've got my big magic hot take out of the way, we can continue into the magic convenience store. And let me say, there's gotta be a crazy backstory to how this lady got her inventory. She has some of the most broken items in existence in this random shop, from sensu bean-esque bugs to bugs that can perform fusion, to objects of immense godlike power. These fusion bugs are pretty annoying to me, because like, not only is it a massive troll that our gang never uses them, but it's also strange from a world building perspective. Gloria recognized the Medibugs instantly, so they're clearly commonplace items in this world. I feel like we should have seen some of the random soldiers or bandits use the fusion bugs. Fusion is broken, and if it's this easy to fuse here, we should have seen people using it. Now, we haven't actually talked about power levels in a while, so let's get back to that. Let's discuss the average Demon World citizen. So, I want to say that everyone in the Demon World is actually pretty strong at a base level, since they live in this world with thick air that makes it hard to move around in. Or, at least I'd like to say that, but Bulma also was able to walk around here, so this isn't very strong evidence. That being said, I still think there are some pretty strong characters in the Demon Realm. Goku says Glorio is probably stronger than the Supreme Kai, and basically everyone in this world knows how to fly, and by extension, they have enough power to use flight. Even End of Dragon Ball Goku struggled to fly for long distances, so I think the average for Demon World denizens is pretty high, but also dependent on species. Like Glins like Supreme Kai are very powerful, while the various races in the third Demon World are on the weaker side, so probably around the thousands at minimum. Of course, they can be really strong too, like Glorio, who is at least above Child Supreme Kai in the millions, so the range is pretty massive. A warrior Namekian was at 3,000, so let's put the average Gendarmerie soldier at 5 to 10,000, as they are the dominant race here. Of course, that's nothing for even base Kid Goku, so he wipes the floor with them. Goku beats them up in order to save Pansy. She herself is still a child, so she's probably down in the hundreds. I'll say like 600. We meet the most important character, Hybus, and he goes to pick up the B team of Vegeta, Piccolo, and Bulma. While camping, Goku's gang gets attacked by this Minotaur. We never get to see him fight, but I assume a monster like this is probably pretty strong, as he also doesn't have a control collar like the normal citizens. Let's put him at 100,000, which seems pretty high, but considering how strong Glorio is, people in the Demon Realm can just be extremely powerful. Glorio and Goku get into a "I would win if we fought" argument, and they decide to spar. Goku can sense energy, so he already knows how this is going to go. Goku goes Super Saiyan, reaching 375 million. But I think he was just flexing. Goku looked like he was already winning in base. I'd put Glorio at like 4 million, above Kaioshin but below Goku. Next up, we get what might be the biggest issue in Daima in general. Back during Dragon Ball GT, they very wisely had Goku's instant transmission not work with his child body. That is of course because teleportation is an extremely broken ability and would trivialize the journey they were going on. Contrary to that, Daima very stupidly shows that Goku still has it. This is honestly a pretty big plot hole, as Goku could do anything from teleporting our gang to the Tamagami so we don't need the plane, all the way to just teleporting to Goma and ending the arc immediately. I mean, we see that all there is between the realms is solid rock, and Goku can teleport to different dimensions like the afterlife in Dragon Ball Z. Okay, had to get that off my chest. After that, we learn Supreme Kai's real name is Nahare, which is cool, since we've been wondering what his name was for years. Finally, we make it to Tamagami 3, and this is where Pansy says even Deborah was weaker than a Tamagami. Now, generally, I think whoever included this line forgot how strong Deborah was supposed to be, but I've thought of a good way to make sense of it. So, during Dragon Ball Z, Deborah was equal to Gohan. It's a bit contentious if Gohan was using Super Saiyan 1 or 2, but I lean towards him using 2, as it just seems kinda weird for Gohan to have been holding back there. That makes Deborah pretty strong. I have him at 36 billion, which is significantly stronger than even Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku. Originally, when I saw this theme, I thought becoming a kid didn't actually make Goku any weaker, but the last 2 episodes contradict this, so my logic here is that Babidi's Majin power-up operates on a per-person scale. Basically, the more evil you are, the stronger Babidi's magic makes you. So Deborah got like 100 times stronger while under Babidi's control, as he was a real piece of work, while Vegeta was almost finished his redemption arc at that point, so that's why Babidi's magic only increased his power a little bit. So, with this workaround, we can say Deborah was only at like 360 million before Babidi took control of him, and this works out exceptionally well, as this still makes him stronger than adult Nahare, as he was afraid of Deborah. And this leads us back into the fight with Tamagami 3. While stronger than Deborah, and even Super Saiyan Kid Goku, the Tamagami falls below Super Saiyan 2 Kid Goku, who should be at 750 million. That puts Mr. 3 at like 500 million, which is actually how strong base Goku was during the Buu saga. Meanwhile, we learn about Majin Buu's true origin story, which by the way, this is the second time Toriyama has retconned Majin Buu's origin story. He was originally created by Bibidi, then retconned to be a sort of eldritch horror that always existed, and Bibidi just awakened, to here, where he was created by this witch. Arinsu has her create a new Majin, with a small piece of Majin Buu she collected during the Buu saga. That new Majin being the GOAT, Majin Ku, and we get to see him take on Tamagami number 1. Now, how strong are the other 2 Tamagami? Well, while Goku pretty easily beats number 3 in Super Saiyan 2, Tamagami 2 holds his own much better against Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. This says to me that the Tamagami do progressively get stronger, but only by a little bit. So we can put base Tamagami 2 at 700 million, and we can put Tamagami 1 at 900 million. Majin Ku isn't able to beat Tamagami 1, but in his own words, he's pretty strong. Ultimately, I'm guessing a bit here, as we don't get to see Ku fight again, so I'd put him around 500 million. After that, we meet this giant Kraken, and we'll talk about the giant race here too. When I first watched Daima, these scenes were really frustrating. Goku is apparently weaker than this big fish. You know Goku is strong enough to blow up solar systems, right? Well, this was back when we thought the gang didn't actually get any weaker from turning into kids. Looking back at this now, with the idea that our guys are 100 times weaker, makes this a lot less frustrating. Don't get me wrong, Goku is still able to casually blow up planets in his base form here, but considering the average demon's power level was pretty high, it can be assumed that their big monsters would also be stronger. So, we need to put this Kraken above Super Saiyan 3 Goku, unfortunately. Daima Goku is at 3 billion in Super Saiyan 3, so this Kraken is stronger. Let's say 10 billion, and later we see the giant Megath race eat the Kraken. So, they're even stronger on average. Let's put their average at 100 billion. Keep in mind that under this assumption, adult Goku would need Super Saiyan 3 to beat a Megath. And Neva even mentions how there's an even bigger race, but we don't see them, so who knows how strong they are. After that, Majin Ku wasn't strong enough, so Arinsu goes back and makes an even stronger Majin. This time, it's Majin Du, who takes out the Tamagami. We can put Du at like 1 billion. Meanwhile, Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta is beating Tamagami 2 with his own power of 750 million, but Neva's a bit of a prankster, so he powers up Tamagami 2 up to like 1.4 billion, and that forces Vegeta to bust out his newly obtained Super Saiyan 3, reaching 3 billion, as he easily takes down number 2. Now, I also have to question these weird challenges the Tamagami give people after the fight. Like, what if someone failed the challenge? Out of story, this is just a gag, but in universe, would the Tamagami try and keep the ball? Couldn't someone just take it by force? This is a fair question, because Tamagami 1's game is basically impossible for anyone other than the GOAT Majin Ku. Well, now we're finally on our way to the first demon world. Goma had the warp fish turned off, so our guys have to try and get through the barrier that divides the demon realm. So it's finally time to talk about Neva. This old man is really powerful. He created the Tamagami and also the barrier here. I actually think Neva is extremely powerful, and under my previously stated stance on magic, he would need to have a lot of ki to support these impressive magical feats. But even more impressive is his last feat, that being how strong his version of Purunga was. We see it flick Goma away like he's nothing. And as we know from Dragon Ball, the dragon is only as strong as its creator. Heck, we saw King Piccolo kill Shenron back in the day, and that Shenron's creator actually was stronger than King Piccolo. So for Neva's dragon to casually body powered up Goma like that tells me Neva is actually insanely powerful. You might say, why didn't he help more? But firstly, he really did help out a lot. And secondly, Neva seems to hold the opinion that Namekians shouldn't abuse their power. While Neva is old, that doesn't mean he doesn't have a high power level. Due to what will happen later, I'm going to put Neva at 80 billion. Neva drops the barrier and we head down, and here we get this atrocity of a scene where our characters struggle to fight this army with guns. There's so many reasons why our characters shouldn't be struggling here. Like, Goku is literally 100,000 times stronger than the average soldier here. Let's go over some of the ways Goku should be able to counter these guns. Shoot a big explosion, wiping out their entire army instantly. Dodge the gunshots. You should be like faster than light or something. Make a ki barrier. We see a guy block these gunshots with a metal gauntlet later. And if there's still somehow an issue for you, and you're struggling this much, maybe go Super Saiyan. We spent an entire episode on this, and Goku does finally go Super Saiyan at the end. Bro could have just done that at the start and saved us 15 minutes. And the nerfs here really don't make this any better. Daima Goku is still over double Namek Saga Goku, and I can't imagine Namek Saga Goku struggling with this sort of thing either. The real reason this happened was they wanted our characters to struggle so Pansy's dad and his crew could save them. They do seem to be stronger than the soldiers, so they should range anywhere between 10,000 to 1 million. I promise we're almost done complaining, but next up is the Gendarmerie force, which just feels like such a waste of time. They're way too much of a straight ripoff of the Ginyu Force, except the Ginyu Force were actually involved in the plot, while these guys exclusively exist as a gag to pad out runtime. Like, they were a bit funny, but we could have actually saw some of Glorio's backstory in the time they spent on these guys. Power-wise, I guess they're considered the first Demon Realm's elite, but base Vegeta casually beats one. Let's make them around 500,000 each, and their leader at 1.2 million. And yes, this is a Ginyu Force reference. After them, Kid Piccolo pretty casually takes out Dagesu, so he's below 60 million. Let's say 20 million. Bro is really weak for a Glind. His older brother Nahare is over 10 times stronger than him. Around that time, Goma gets his hands on the evil third eye. I guess we can do Goma here. We know he's considered strong, but below Deborah. If Deborah was at 360 million, then Goma can be at like 150 million. Now that we have successfully rescued baby Dende, we finally get into the climax of Daima. Our gang has a standoff with Orinsu, but Goma, equipped with the third evil eye, interrupts their fight. You can tell things are dire, since Son, let me solo him Goku, suggests they should jump him. Goku quickly jumps up to Super Saiyan 3 at 3 billion, and Majin Buu also boosts himself up to a similar level, but he could only maintain it for like 30 seconds. I'd put Third Eye Goma at 4 billion to start, but the power of the Third Eye will be increasing that amount several times during this battle. His first power-up happens while he's getting jumped by Goku and Tamagami 1. We'll say this one boosts him up to 10 billion. This is where that happens. Neva decides to help Goku and give him some kind of a boost that jumpstarts Goku's evolution to the next level. That level, of course, being the best transformation in Dragon Ball, Super Saiyan 4. Now, power-wise, this Daima version of Super Saiyan 4 is much weaker than the original version from GT, as regular Super Saiyan Vegeta will end up being stronger than Super Saiyan 4 Kid Goku. This is the basis for the assumption that our guys are 100 times weaker, and because of that, I have Daima Super Saiyan 4 at 10 times stronger than Super Saiyan 3. That brings Super Saiyan 4 Kid Goku up to 30 billion, as Goma does his best punching bag impression. He gets several power boosts while they fight, until finally reaching 35 billion, surpassing Goku. That's when we finally see Demon Realm Purunga, and it flicks away Goma, hence why I have Neva so high. This is where Glorio betrays Arinsu, and wishes for Goku and the gang to be restored to adults. And I really want to analyze Arinsu's plan here. She basically orchestrated everything in Daima. She was the one who scared Goma into turning our guys into kids. Then, she also had Glorio bring them to the Demon Realm to collect the Dragon Balls for her, and here, her plan has come together, as she has all of the balls ready for her wish. Goes to show, you can do everything right, and still get screwed over. I feel like Glorio needed more screen time in Daima, both to show us his relationship with Arinsu, and more time for him to bond with Goku and the gang to justify his decision here. Anyways, now that we're adults again, Vegeta takes over, and we see that his regular Super Saiyan form is pressing Goma at 37.5 billion. Then, he jumps straight to Super Saiyan 3 at 300 billion. Goma is truly the best punching bag a Saiyan could ask for. Finally, after a flash, Goma surpasses adult Super Saiyan 3 as well, at 350 billion. Goku steps in, and it's time for the climax. Adult Super Saiyan 4 Goku would sit at 3 trillion. And he's so powerful, he blows a hole through all 3 levels of the Demon Realm. Now, if you think about it, if he just aimed for the head, he could have killed Goma. But since he didn't, Goma gets one last power up to 4 trillion. Things look really bad. But here comes Majin Ku with the spellbook! And with that, my goat saved the day. At the end here, they stuff Goma and Degesu in a jar for 99 years, which, when you think about it, is a pretty tame punishment. These guys live for millions of years. A 99-year sentence is like putting a human in jail for a day. Then we learn the next king of the demon world is my goat Majin Ku! Which, by the way, as I am one to brag, I predicted he would become the new Demon King before it happened. My goat also feels bad for Arinsu getting screwed over, so he makes her his second in command. Finally, on our way home, they stop by the magic convenience store and find out this is where Abra got the 3rd evil eye. What? Who are you? Where did you get these? Alright, that's it for Daima. Now, I feel like some of this might have come across as pretty negative, but I promise I really did like most of my time with Daima. It's not perfect, but it was a fun ride, and like I said at the start, it really feels like this is the most Toriyama Dragon Ball has felt since Battle of Gods. I honestly have no idea where we'll go from here, but wherever it takes us, I wish you a great day, and I'll see you next time.